Reimagine is a project that's been running now for about 12 months, and it's basically looking at the whole future of the UK-India Cultural and Educational Partnership.
We brought 6 people from India and 6 people from the UK together to explore the India-UK cultural relationship and explore what they understand about it and what it may look like in the future.
So far, this morning we broke down a lot of barriers and got involved and made sort of creative posters and bits and pieces, kind of just getting to know each other.
We kind of had a discussion about what we kind of already know and how we can see it, involving the whole group and how we can take the discussion forward. And with some keynote speakers, basically discussing the relationship between the UK and India.
My particular interest in coming here is because, I have an interest in Indian history and I'm interested in contemporary India as well. And the relationship between the past and the present, which is one of the things you're discussing today, is something that's very close to my own interests and sort of teaching and research activities with which I'm involved.
India is a large and complex culture that's happened over millennia, and I think one of the difficulties or one of the challenges of representing India is to give a sense of historical depth and its contemporary energy and all of the cultural differences that are in India.
In terms of museum, I think I learned a lot. Firstly, because in terms of curation, it's so interesting to look at. It's interesting for anyone to understand or comprehend. It's accessible. It's approachable. I think that was really interesting because otherwise museums are considered to be boring, but this was something that one could understand, one wanted to understand. I think that was something that I liked.
In India, mostly we see museums having the same feel for more than 10 years or so. This is a constantly evolving museum. That was the first part. And the second part was, as I was saying, use of technology, making it more interactive, and various sections like music, how they captured that and how we could hear the music around the world, etc. So the way things were captured.
We looked at our collection and used our collection so that we looked at different things like textiles and clothing and contemporary art. To look at particular moments in time and what they meant and particular individuals and people, to give a sort of flesh to a perception of another part of the world.
There were some anklets we use for the dancing. There was some ancient ones. It was very interesting. It was a huge one and different kinds. I found one Ravan masks. So that was pretty interesting, and the music.
I think this group really bonded and they really worked well as a team. On the first night they made biryani together, so basically a group of about 18-19 people got together and they made biryani in a small tiny kitchen and living room, and it was fantastic.
We're just back from the Edinburgh International Book Festival. We listened to a talk by A.C. Grayling, who is a philosopher.
It was interesting, definitely. I like A.C. Grayling. I think he looks at things in an interesting way, but I was quite disappointed with him, to be honest, because his new college that he's founding has the ability to really challenge the stereotypes of what makes a great education and what makes a really great student. And I really feel like he's just recreated another Oxford and Cambridge, when actually he had the potential and the contacts and the vision to really kind of do more than that.
So we had a really stimulating discussion from him about the value of humanities education and liberal arts and what it means in the world that we're living in. I think it's really relevant to our discussions here.
I'm here because I believe that culture is integral for everybody, and we don't view the world through as a person. We view it on the richness of experience, like what makes us us and what we've seen of other people's cultures. And I think we have a lot to learn from one another, and I think that is the backgrounds that we come from and the identity that we assume for ourselves.
We've been thinking a bit about what is the history of the India-UK relationship, what kind of things are we proud of about being Indian or about being Scottish or British. I think we're getting to the point of understanding that cultural relations is about looking at different people's perspectives on perhaps the same issue, and that's been kind of the thread of our thinking through the last few days.
We have looked at quite a number of topics, and now we are going to finalize. So it's basically looking into the key areas, which will be the vision, why we think UK-India relation is important, and the outcome of this 3-day conference.
I'm with the curator team, so we're just kind of organising the way that we're going to plan the entire event. So it's about spacing, about if we're going to put anything up on the walls, how we're going to organise our discussions, what we're going to discuss.
A very warm welcome to everyone. We had planned it this way, that Reimagine Youth event would be done on a sunny, lovely morning.
We will focus on 3 key topics. We asked the question of why is India-UK relations important, education and the role that history plays, concluding with sport and culture.
We considered the relationship between the two nations as very important. We couldn't come to a consensus on many topics, but this was one.
When it comes to history between both our countries, we have seen interactions spanning centuries between the UK and India that have both shaped and influenced each other. A major concern that actually surfaced was whether history in both respective countries had been portrayed with just one perspective.
Our group felt that people in the UK have a very limited knowledge of the Indian history and their colonial past, and how India has influenced a great part in shaping modern Britain and modern United Kingdom. On a similar note, India views the UK's contribution to the national narrative as purely negative. To reimagine our relationship, we need to change our perspectives. Rather than viewing the past as problems and conflicts, we need to celebrate our shared heritage.
Today we did a presentation involving all sorts of stakeholders and VIP type people. It included a film, it included postcards, it included a gallery, it included a presentation, and all of these things were done in the last 24 hours, essentially, put together by that team of people. So, the amount of work that they had to do, the level of teamwork that they needed in order to do that was incredible. So yeah, I was really impressed.
We've worked hard for the past 3 days, and we've kind of mapped everything together. It's basically on how India and the UK can work together on 3 important points. That's education, sports, history.
So my role was actually talking about history and history's role in shaping the relations between the UK and India, both in the ancient perspective and the now globalized and current perspective.
I think it went very good because I talked to a lot of guests and they all were very impressed by our presentation, and I hope that we have created a difference by coming here.
There really needs to be a reimagining of the curricula on both sides, and also maybe to kind of conceptualise India in a region by region basis, something that Scottish people can hang on to, being such an enormous democracy, 1.2 billion. It can be hard to imagine something as large as that, so I think maybe regionalisation of India might be a really good way of reimagining it. It's been a fantastic day and the start of something great.
I came in with the idea that UK youth, younger people at least, were not interested in the UK-India relationship very much. And I think what we learned is that really they are, but the structures aren't really in place to facilitate partnerships with Indians. So that was really interesting, because we thought there was severe apathy. I mean, not to downplay the apathy that there is, but that impressed me.
The social media component of what we did here democratised the access to the ideas that were coming out of here. So often with these kind of events, the greatness stays in the room. And with this, anybody can find them. We made it searchable, we made it findable, and that's great. That feels good.
I was expecting a group of young people to come together, to have some interesting conversations, maybe come up with some ideas to follow up. But I think we've probably got a lot more out of it than that. So One of the things which has happened, which I was not expecting, is that some of the conversations have been incredibly deep, really insightful.
I think the one thing I've learned that surprised me the most is how many perspectives or historical perspectives there are about one event.
I think just the variety of issues. I think I came in thinking, yes, I want to come into this summit with an open mind, but I think even then I had my preconceived ideas of certain issues that would pop up, like certain areas of culture, but then you realise actually that culture is such a wide concept.
The perception, because the perception in terms of history, what we read about the British in our history books was always anti, was against them, and whatever we read was the British were not good to us, we need to get them out of the country. But on the first day of the workshop, we got to know the perception from the British eye, so it was basically both sides of the coin. Yeah.
I had never seen that side of our history, and to understand that and see it from a different frame, and then use that history to then reinvent the future, and then our discussions on what we can actually do. That was pretty much very, very interesting.
I'm taking away so many things actually. I'm going to be taking the friendship, the warmth and everything we've shared, and most importantly I think I learned so much about India and the UK, especially Edinburgh.
I've just been impressed by the determination and passion they brought to it in such a short space of time. I mean, literally it's 3 days. I can't believe it from where we began on Friday morning. Here we are on Monday afternoon, lunchtime, and we had a fantastic presentation with a range of very exciting ideas coming out, and also very imaginatively presented too. So I think, with a group like that, if we can really build on that, we should have no fear about the future of relations UK and India. It will last.
I would just like to thank you, and that I'm so grateful to be here, that British Council has given me this opportunity to be here with so many wonderful people and these wonderful memories which are always going to stay with me. And thank you so much for having me here.